Hello everyone, welcome back to another BrickSide Chat. We got a few more questions this week. As always, I'll put it in the beginning of this video. If you have any questions, put them in the comment section below, and I'll answer them in next week's episode of BrickSide Chat. But getting right into it, we have a first one from Margaret, who says, should I be concerned that approximately 40% of my buyers do not mark their orders as completed or post feedback? Is this a common issue, and how should I address this? Yes, I would say this is a common issue, if you want to call it an issue. A lot of buyers, I would say, don't mark their orders as completed. Some of them mark them as received, never mark them as completed. Some of them just don't mark them at all, and they get it and whatever. Eventually, BrickLink automatically marks all the orders as completed. I am probably wrong, but I want to say it's 90 days. After 90 days, or some number, we'd have to verify that, I'm not entirely sure, BrickLink marks every order as completed. So you can keep that in mind at least. As for posting feedback, is there a way to address this? I know some sellers that say if you leave feedback, you get a coupon for your next visit. We personally give coupons to every buyer, regardless if they leave feedback or not. So I don't necessarily know that we can't necessarily go down that pathway. I'm also not sure if that's an effective way to get feedback. We do have a little like a little thank you card that goes inside of every order that says thank you for your order. If you are happy with it, go ahead and leave feedback on our store. So that is something we do personally at our store, and I would say we probably get feedback 50% of the time, or roughly around 50% of the time. So your 40% of buyers not marking their order or giving feedback is pretty accurate. Addressing it, just maybe give some sort of perk for them leaving feedback. In this case, it could be a coupon or something. Next question comes from Miner Makes Mocks. What should I include in my store terms and splash page? That's a great question. So something I think important when you think about your terms and your splash page is these are generally the first two pages, or maybe whatever page is the main one, the first page that your buyer comes to. Your splash page is probably your very first page, if you have that set as your kind of home page on BrickLink, and that's where they'll see everything for your store. So the splash page, I think, should be very simple in terms of you're only saying like welcome to my store, maybe say like we have new and used, or you only sell new, or whatever it might be. We pack orders within 24 hours. Basic little bullet points of what you do at your store and how your store works. Anything you want all the buyers to know. Now, if you have all that on your splash page, then your terms page should be a more detailed list of specific things that you need to make sure the buyers know. This could be your return policy, your shipping policy, how many days it takes you to pack an order and then ship it out, what methods of shipping you use, tons of different things like that, payment information, all that kind of stuff should be on your terms page, and it should be pretty detailed so that if someone wants to go read your whole terms page, they understand I only accept PayPal, they ship within 24 hours, all these different things, so they understand who they're buying from and what to expect out of this store. Next question is from Chris, who says, what is the process of combining two orders on BrickLink? I had a buyer ask to add on to an order that was already paid for. He was a new buyer and I was a new seller. We were unable to figure out the process, so we paid for shipping twice. But I gave him a coupon to compensate for the extra shipping. So I know what you're asking, because people can create multiple batches in an order. I'm not entirely sure if that is only if the order has been not paid for, if you're able to create batches or not. But I've had buyers do that where they create batches. I've also had buyers where they pay for one order and then it hasn't shipped because, or they forgot a couple pieces or whatever, and they say, hey, can I add this real quick? And they'll place another order, but what they do, personally, we have an option for request for invoice. So if we need to, if it's enough parts, we'll type into the shipping field for the second order they placed that was requested for an invoice, the additional that it's going to cost to ship it, if required. Most of the time it's not. If it's only a couple pieces or two, then, and it's like $1 more or two, whatever it might be, we'll send that invoice to them for only the pieces. It's hard when they're asking to add only like one piece worth 10 cents. Because now if you don't charge them for shipping, PayPal takes 30 cents of each transaction, unless it's a microtransaction, in which case I think it takes 10 cents or 5 cents maybe. Regardless, you're losing most of that piece. So it becomes a little bit harder. So there is a way you can add batch orders. From my understanding, I think it's only if the order has not yet been paid for. Once it's been paid for, I think they have to place a new order. If anyone knows the answer to that, please leave it down in the comments below. I'm not entirely sure what the case is with that, but please let me know. Yeah. Sorry. Next question is from Kevin. It says, how did you get it to link your BrickLink store from justabrickinthebucket.com? So those of you who don't know, our BrickLink store URL, if you want to call it that, or our URL is justabrickinthebucket.com. When you click or type that in, it'll bring us to, or bring you to our BrickLink store. And the way we set that up is we purchased the domain name from one of the domain providers. I don't remember which one. And then what you do is you go to URL forwarding, which is some sort of setting in the dashboard of whether it's domain.com, GoDaddy. There's a ton of different ones. But go to that dashboard there, and under there should be, somewhere in there'll be URL transfer or URL forwarding or something around those lines where you're able to say and tell it to go to this URL when someone types in this URL. So when they type in justabrickinthebucket.com, it brings them to, bricklink.com/store/whatever our store name, all that, whatever that URL is. So it brings them to our store. So we're working on a website. The website will be out soon. Eventually it won't go to that, but temporarily justabrickinthebucket.com does go to our BrickLink store specifically, and you'll do that all through your domain host, domain developer, domain, the person you bought the domain from, whatever company that is. Next question is from MD Bricks. Are you going to expand your BrickLink store in the same room, or are you going to buy a small warehouse where you could expand big time? So the plan eventually is to have a warehouse of some sort, or a significantly larger location to have the ability to expand big time, like you said. At the moment, we're going to expand as much as we can inside of here. We can definitely fit between 300 and 400,000 parts in the room we have, easily. And we're doing that little bit of renovation right now. That's almost all done. So we can fit a lot more stuff in this room that we're in right now. So as much as we want to go get a warehouse and stuff and have a physical office, physical location that's, not Paul's house, that is a goal. But financially, it doesn't make sense to do that. We're not making, we're making enough money to cover one, but we're not making enough money to cover one and continue expanding and start to pay ourselves and all these other things. It all starts to fall apart when you tack on all, rent, utilities, all these things. So yes, warehouse is on the list. If you stick with us for the next couple years, I'm sure, guaranteed, I think within the next, I'll say year and a half. I want to say a year, but it might not happen. But year and a half, I'd say by the end of 2021, we hopefully will have outgrown this space too much where we need to get a warehouse. That's for sure the goal. Obviously, it depends on whether or not we do used. We're still debating about that. And then, of course, sales on new pieces versus no sales on new pieces. How are our sales going? All those kind of things factor into whether or not we're going to get a warehouse. Second question from MD Bricks is, are there any specific pieces you need to have a lot of in your store? And this is a little confusing because we have parts and we have lots. And you say, are there any specific pieces you need to have a lot of? And I don't know if you're asking, are there any specific pieces you need to have one lot of? Or are there any specific pieces you need to have a ton of or many of? But the answer to this, regardless, is I don't think so. There's no one specific piece or any specific pieces you need to have in your store to be successful. I think if you're parting out a lot of new parts and stuff, one of the biggest things is those classic sets. The ones that come in the yellow boxes, whatever it might be. Those I think sell really well because they're more traditional pieces. 2x4 bricks, 2x2 bricks, in relatively basic colors. So those are going to be more popular and sell more often. So I would recommend going with those or similar parts like that. But there's not pieces I think you need in your store to be able to sell. It's not required that you have anything. And then last question from Assist Official says, is it even worth picking a $3 order? And that's a great question. And the answer to us is yes, I think so. At $3 or around $3 is about the lowest we'll go. We do have a $2 thing, so if you don't spend a minimum of $2 in our store, we'd add a charge. So you did spend $2 in our store. So it is better for you just to add $2 worth of parts to your store. But if you only need 2 parts and they're 10 cents each and you're only spending 20 cents, there will be a $2 charge added on top of that. So total, that whole order, with shipping, $3.94 usually is what that shipping is, plus, let's just say it's exactly a $2 order. $5.94 is the cheapest, the absolute cheapest order we can ever have in our store. $5.94 after PayPal takes their stuff. We're probably down to like $5, 530, 520, maybe probably around there, 520. So $5 or so. So this $5 is to cover shipping. We're going to say shipping costs $3.50. Okay, so now we've lost another $3.50. So at the end of the day, it's between a $1.50 and a $2 order. Now, considering it's such a small order, it's not like it's 1,000 pieces to pick. So in reality, it is worth it. Just to make those couple, $2 or $3 in that small order. Simply, go pick off the 6 pieces off the wall or 6 different lots, put it in a bag, put a thing on it, and ship it. Now, if there was the only orders we were getting, we'd get 1 or 2 of those a day. Is it worth it for me to come to the store, pack that, go to, it's not worth it to do the whole process. But to put that in the middle of having 10 other orders to pack that day, it's totally fine. I think it is worth it. It does add up over time. But if you're only getting $3 orders, maybe once or twice a week, and that's all the orders you're getting, it's probably not worth your time because there is a lot of extra effort involved if you're only doing that single order. So for us, we're getting enough orders where it makes perfect sense. But if you are a small store and you're only getting a few, you have to start somewhere, so keep that in mind. But maybe consider either starting a minimum buy or adding an additional charge that charges your buyer more if they don't spend a certain amount in your store. Hopefully, those of you who had questions, that was helpful for this week. If you have any questions, sorry, I'm really tired. I can't do this. If you have any questions, go ahead and put them in the comment section below. If you like the video, as always, please give it a thumbs up. And if you're if you're new to the channel, go ahead and check out our other videos and click that subscribe button. Yeah, that is pretty much it. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you in the next video.